Chapter 10. Continued. Ahead of them, cars roll along in a stop-and-go traffic jam.
Damn it, what's going on?
Pris peers out onto the traffic and spots yellow warning lights ahead.
An accident?
Siren asks.
One of your racer friends, maybe?
Illegal street races were always in the news and fatal crashes were rather common.
No one races on Hammond Drive.
Pris says.
Surveillance is a bitch out here.
She impatiently taps the steering wheel as the cars slowly move along the highway. The rotating yellow lights belong to cop cars that park on the side of the road.
Don't worry, they're not here for us.
Pris reassures Siren, who sits upright with her hands braced against the cushions.
This is the area where we picked up Raylan yesterday.
Pris scratches her cheek, unsure if she should be worried. Slowly, the Cherox passes the patrol cars, and they see dozens of officers in a long line systematically scanning the ground with detectors. Further ahead, a black sedan is parked sideways. A slender Len leans against the hood, focused on her arm clip display. While their car rolls by, Siren throws a glance at the figure. The face of a white-haired Len is illuminated by the holograms before her. They reflect on her blue-eye shades as she looks up. Siren instinctively leans far over to Pris to avoid detection.
What is it?
Instantly, Pris is alarmed and scans possible escape routes.
Cyphrin? It's Cyphrin.
Siren whispers and points at the Len outside the car.
Okay, cool down. Whoever that is, she cannot see you or hear you.
Pris calms her down. Then she leans in to get a look for herself. The Len seems to stare right back, but Pris knows that she just stares at a blackened window. The traffic jam slowly dissipates and Siren glances back at the black sedan. It may have been an illusion in the dark, but for a moment she thought she saw the figure gazing after their car. Siren's heart still races at the thought that Raylan's assistant was standing right next to her.
Why is she here?
Siren thinks, nervous.
What are they looking for? Pull down the separator,
She demands. She senses that something is wrong and Taryn needs to know. She turns around and impatiently waits for the pain to lower itself down into the traverse.
Taryn,
She softly calls.
wake up, sweetie.
She gently touches Taryn's shoulder. Taryn's head shoots up, and she quickly gets upright to scan the surroundings. Only then she relaxes and turns to face Siren.
What's up?
She asks, after yawning wholeheartedly.
I just saw Cyphrin.
Siren tells her.
She commanded a gang of cops on a detector sweep.
She watches Taryn intently.
What? Why? I mean, where are we?
Taryn glances outside and recognizes the old industrial area on Hammond Drive. Still drowsy, her thoughts take some time to get going.
Why is Cyphrin? His arm clip.
This blinding thought hit her like lightning, and a thundering afterthought rolls through her mind.
Evren, did she really destroy the arm clip?
Siren tries to decipher her lover's expression. The name of Raylan's assistant triggered a response that alarms her. She's not logically inclined, but she senses that something important seems missing or lost.
What is it?
Siren asks.
What do you make out of this?
She points back from where they came. Taryn glances at Pris, who slows the car to turn off the main highway.
I hope it's nothing,
She murmurs.
but I need to check on something later on.
Taryn begins to understand that even the rumor of a mole suddenly makes everyone a potential mole. Siren catches Taryn's glance at Pris, but she does not want to raise the trust issue right now. Her lover seems to battle with serious problems herself.
If you'd ask me, I'd say they are looking for the arm clip that we had to dump yesterday.
Pris gives her opinion.
How do you know about his arm clip?
Taryn asks nervously.
Well, I threw it out of the window last night.
Pris shoots a glance into the back view mirror.
Pris was with the pickup team.
Siren explains.
Ah, okay. Yes, you're probably right.
Taryn replies shortly.
This doesn't make things easier.
She thinks doubtfully. The Cherox slowly lumbers over badly lit and pothole-filled roads. Finally, darkness surrounds them as they leave the last lights behind them. Pris turns to Siren and grins with pride.
Check this out.
She turns off the headlights. The blackened windows change into gray thermal images of the outside scenery. Every blade of dune grass on the ground is displayed. Every little pebble on the road is clearly contrasted against the ground.
Amazing!
Taryn is truly impressed. She imagines how the Cheroks would look from the outside as they pass in complete darkness.
And if you really want to be invisible, I got this for you.
Pris flips a switch on the side of the control panel, and the engine hum dies off to a barely audible whisper.
Silencer mode.
Pris puts her finger on her mouth, grinning. Seren tries to act cool.
Yeah, but where are your anti-air rockets?
In the back.
Pris answers matter-of-factly as she navigates through complete darkness outside.
Right.
Seren jabs Pris's shoulder. Pris looks at her coolly.
You don't believe me.
No, I don't.
I'll show you later.
Alma, don't fuck with me. We are riding on explosive?
They can't explode. The trigger is set at launch. No worries.
You were serious?
Seren is in shock.
Dead serious. Never used 'em, but the blanks worked. It's a last-action maneuver against aerial surveillance. I rigged them into the trunk so I can have a horizontal release.
Both Taryn and Seren are stunned by the nonchalant tone in which Pris explains that her car carries military-grade attack missiles.
Don't you think that's a bit over the top?
Taryn inquires quietly.
Nope, can't have enough defense. I got a directional scrambler and onboard satellite dish, too.
She pats the steering wheel and nods satisfied.
This baby is loaded.
Taryn and Seren feel more like riding in a tank than in a car. With renewed respect, they concede that there are some pretty serious reasons behind Pris's adoration for the Cheroks. Ahead looms a free area with an abandoned parking lot. Without sound, the car rolls onto the open space, a shadow in the darkness. The shadow moves slowly toward a deserted trash compactor and stops. After a moment, Pris turns the engine off. The hissing noise of opening doors breaks the silence. Dim interior lights briefly reflect off the protective edges of a road case as Seren steps out of the car. The doors close and the dim lights vanish in the dark. They silently walk along to the back of the trash compactor where Pris lifts a heavy metal lid aside. Its metal scraping screeches across the empty parking lot. With the first feeling steps, Pris lowers herself down to the ladder in the maintenance duct. She reaches for the small suitcase that Seren holds down. As the last to go down, Taryn places the heavy lid back in place with a loud grunt. Only now, they turn on headband lights to peer down the duct. After a few steps, the duct intersects with a traversing tunnel. They crouch to move along the tunnel that has accumulated little piles of sand over the years of neglect. Several side ducts appear in their shaky lights. Finally, the tunnel breaks into a small cave that has been carved into the ground. On the other end of the cave, a wooden box sits under a pipe that runs from the bottom to the ceiling of the cave. Directly above the box, an open section of the pipe shows multiple layers of iron mesh, carbon fiber insulators, and a thick copper wire at its core. Using the wooden box as makeshift stand, Taryn opens the road case to set up the transceiver. Meanwhile, Seren takes a set of wire clamps, connecting them to the core copper wire.
Okay. Current matched. Waiting for phase synchronization.
Taryn murmurs as she stares at a little hologram that hovers over the opened case.
We should have them online in a few minutes. Good thing we still encrypt our signals. You never know.
Taryn remarks, smiling at Pris.
How do you know all this shit?
Pris is always amazed at how easy some people work the mysterious depth of computer technology. Seren laughs at Pris's outburst.
I could ask you the same thing. How do you know all this shit about cars?
Pris shrugs defensively.
Well, you just pick it up along the way.
See? So do we.
Seren replies, patting Pris's back. The quiet crackle of static noise sounds through the cave, and they gaze at the speaker in the case, listening to its white static. Taryn nods at Seren and reports,
We're set. Now we have to wait.
I'll wait up top. The air is better up there.
Pris casually remarks as she turns toward the exit of the cave, crouching back through the tunnel. She craves to feel an open sky above her head. Pris is not really claustrophobic, but the thought of the massive amounts of rock hovering above her instills her with a sense of unease. She is also not keen on getting drawn into higher echoes, politics, and strategic discussions. Pris is satisfied with her skills at the tactical level. Taryn stares at the wire mesh of the transceiver speaker, lost in thought. Seren senses her worries and steps close, caressing Taryn's back.
Still worried about Cyphrin?
She asks gently.
Yes, I am. Very much so.
Taryn replies.
Why is she after Ray's arm clip?
She asks, not really expecting an answer. She covers her face with her hands, wearily massaging her cheeks. Saren pulls Taryn's hands down and tells her,
Sweetie, listen to yourself. Why would she know it's his arm clip? Which one of us is the logical one?
She pulls Taryn close, looking into her eyes.
Do you really think Cyphrin knows Ray was out there last night?
Saren asks, chuckling.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Cyphrin knowing that Ray's an ecos?
A few grains of sand trickle down the cave wall. The quiet, static crackle of the receiver is the only sound in the cave as Taryn thinks about Saren's argument.
It's not crazy, if Ray's the mole.
She objects, holding Saren at arm's length.
Baby, I know it's hard to accept, but it's harder to ignore the clues and their consequences.
She adds. Saren turns her gaze away, stunned by Taryn's words. For the first time, her once shining projection of Raylan is overshadowed with doubt, and she grudgingly accepts the surreal possibility of her lover's betrayal. Taryn points Saren to the core consequence.
If Cyphrin and Winslow Industries know, then the ATC knows everything.
Taryn speaks the last word slowly, locking onto Saren's gaze. Tightening her grip around Saren's arms, she quietly asks,
Do you understand?
Saren breaks free and turns her back to Taryn. She pulls her shoulders up, drawing her arms tight.
Okay.
She mutters defensively and kicks a lump of sand on the ground. Loud crackling noises sound from the speaker, followed by a series of repetitive short beeps. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. Taryn activates the transceiver control.
They're online.
She checks the settings and starts the encryption of her signals. Raising a short microphone to her lips, she clears her throat.
Western Lasses section online. Member Taryn speaking.
She glances at Saren and adds,
Member Saren is present.
Where's Member Raylan?
A distorted voice inquires. Taryn quickly adjusts the signal settings and faces the microphone.
He's not here.
Taryn mutters, nervously clasping her hands. Another deep voice demands in an urgent tone.
The council must speak to him.
Taryn folds her arms and glances at Saren, whose gaze is fixed on the speaker.
I have something to report.
Taryn says,
About Member Raylan, there are indications that he may be a mole for Winslow Industries.
Taryn's halting voice betrays her emotions, and she is grateful that this is only an audio feed. She clears her throat again and continues.
I'll send a text file with the important points.
Taryn sends the analysis she prepared earlier in the cafe. The silence in the cave is only broken by the low hiss from the speaker, until the deep voice rings out through the cave.
Stand by. We will analyze the situation.
Taryn turns off the microphone, nervously massaging her neck. Saren walks over to comfort her friend and begins to massage Taryn's slender shoulders. Sensing the warmth of Saren's palms on her tense muscles, Taryn allows herself a fleeting moment of solace and comfort. She closes her eyes, bracing herself for the council's response. Despite the sense of relaxation, mental images of worst-case scenarios shoot through her mind. Herself and Raylan at gunpoint. Raylan's cold stare into her prison cell. They wait for a while, but there is still no answer from the council. Saren checks her display and shoots Taryn a questioning look.
Are we still on standby? Or what?
Saren gets impatient and rechecks the transceiver settings. She sighs.
I know copper is slow, but come on.
A deep voice sounds from the speaker.
Are you online?
Taryn quickly activates the microphone.
We are online.
There has been much debate about your accusation, Member Taryn.
A lighter, more forthcoming voice chimes in.
But the council has not yet decided on how to proceed in this grave matter. We will first compute a more in-depth analysis.
Another raspy voice with Verloran accent demands.
How reliable is this Ephron asset? We understand there are doubts.
Only regarding the whereabouts of the arm clip.
Taryn replies truthfully. The deep voice clarifies.
The arm clip contains no vital data. Therefore, it is of no importance.
They look for it. It must be valuable. Maybe.
This is not a primary concern.
The deep voice interrupts.
The council will discuss this later. Right now, the Lasses section needs directions on how to proceed. Member Raylan Winslow is an integral part of our next critical joint mission. He must continue his work.
Terran's gaze shoots up to Surin, who is listening intently. The voice pauses for a moment, then continues with authority.
You will receive instructions on how to prepare your section. Member Raylan will receive a different set of instructions. You will not interfere with the member's contacts to Winslow Security or the ATC. Therefore, based on the responding activities of the ATC, his allegiance will be tested.
Still set a trap.
Terran is taken aback by the turn of events. The lighter voice explains,
They'll have to bite on that. It's too large to ignore. That will be the decisive proof of his loyalty to us.
After a moment, the voice adds,
To point out the gravity of the issue, the Northern Lasses Counselor requests the elimination of the member. But obviously, the consequences are well beyond the benefits of killing a valuable ECOS member.
Both Saren and Terran stare at each other. The casual tone of the voice sends shivers down their spine. The authoritative voice declares in a commanding tone,
We are prepared to enact an evasive shutdown, but we would rather see the situation resolved differently. We will keep you informed about the results of our analysis and further required actions. End of communication. Data transfer will commence now.
The crackling noise swells up and changes into rapid-fire beeping. The transceiver reports the incoming data packets, transferring them to Terran's arm clip for later decryption. Terran shuts off the speaker. The sudden stillness feels threatening. Saren still stares at the silent speaker, not able to fathom the consequences of the Council's plans.
What just happened?
She asks nervously, stunned at the orders of the Council. She expected something drastic, however wrong that may have been.
I don't know if I can do this, Siren.
Terran murmurs. Thinking about the weeks ahead, Surin feels the same confusion that besets herself. She puts her arms around Terran, slowly swaying her from side to side.
We'll find a way. We can get through this together.
She whispers.
We still don't have all the information, and a probability is just a probability.
Surin argues.
I've been in fights where the odds were so stacked against me that no one even considered an upset. And you know what?
She gazes at Terran, giving her a triumphant smile,
I won anyways.
kissing Terran resolutely on her lips. She calls out.
Maybe we can win this too. Fuck the odds.
Terran wearily smiles at Saren's pep talk and her disregard for the painful reality.
Thanks, baby. Maybe we did overlook something, or we are missing a key element in all of this.
Terran checks her display for the file transfer and exhales deeply. 2 sets of directories are present. One is marked Raylan Winslow,
Okay, we got all we need.
she says.
Let's pack up.
Terran shuts down the transceiver and fits it back into the road case, shaking her head at the whole situation. She sighs as Saren hands her the wire clamps.
I feel like offering Ray a poisonous apple in the hope he will eat it.
I don't even know what to feel.
Saren replies, still dumbfounded by the decision of the Council. Terran exhales in frustration and calls out against the cave ceiling.
This is all so surreal.
Saren weakly smiles as she tries to comfort her.
Sweetie, we need to take a step back and think this over.
She says.
This ride has been a roller coaster. We're both exhausted.
Terran agrees.
Yeah, we can't do anything right now. We'll decode the files at home and sleep over it.
Aha! Sounds like a plan. I'd wish Ray would be there too.
Saren already misses the intimate side of their triple. Terran snaps the suitcase shut.
Right now, I am glad he's not there.
Well, this is a mess.
This will not end well.
Shut up, Terran.